Hello, SuperCoaches. The teams are in for round 10. It's a massive week. Lots of changes to get through. Magic round was pretty magic for SuperCoach as well. Some big scores floating around, including one of our own in Jett Hatton. This is your chance to gloat after scoring 1,800 million points over the weekend.
Oh, mate, I've been waiting all weekend for this. I can't wait. I scored 1,787, which I thought was going to be the top score, but it wasn't. It was 18th best score for the week.
Yeah.
Moved me up about 25,000 spots into 12,000. Big move. I played Rabbitohs, AJ Brimson,
Huge.
played Metcalf, a few other nice scores in there. Kiraz, Drinky, I can keep going on, but we'd be here all day. So
How good.
it was a magical weekend.
How good. Look, you've got to take your wins when you can. Wilso, probably not 1,700 points for you, but still handy.
Yeah, I got 1441, so still decent. But yeah, my bench just scored insanely well, so it was painful to watch all these players that didn't start just absolutely killing it. But I still went up about 1,000 ranks.
Biggest takeaway from the teams, what's yours?
Biggest one for me is I just got to look down and make sure I say his name right. Loko Pacifici Tonga at the Dragons.
Yep.
Set to make his debut this week, and just a potential future cheapie to keep an eye on.
Yeah, with Emre Gula out probably long term, looks like he could have a decent spot there. What's yours?
For me, it's Tom Jenkins being named on the bench. Obviously, it's stiff for those who held, scored a big score on the weekend, low break even. Just going to play that utility role off the bench for Penrith, so that's a bit of a stinger.
Yep, true. He probably is a sell if you haven't already. For me, it's Corey Horsburgh. I've been hanging out for 4 p.m. today to see whether he'd be named after that concussion, which came late in that Canberra game, so we didn't know whether he'd failed it or not. But he has been named for the Raiders. He's the 4th most sold player. I'm pretty tempted to sell Corey Horsburgh and just wait and see what happens over the Origin period. We were chatting before. Do you reckon he makes that Origin team?
Yeah, I think he's a really good chance to play for Queensland, but I just think I'm just going to hold him. He's not doing bad enough to really warrant a sell for me.
Some other things we'll get through as well is Keon Kaloa-Matangi named in the middle at prop. Jaden Campbell is back from an ankle injury too, so we'll get to that in a sec. But our subs deal at the moment, SuperCoach Plus for $29.95 for the year, all the projections, all the stats, etc. It's a bargain. Plus, you could get SuperCoach code for $59 for the year. So that's all the SuperCoach stories, all sports stories for $59 for the year. So $1 a week. Eels v the Dolphins is the first clash. Lots of popular guys at the Eels because you've got Riley Smith as the most popular cheapie replacement for Peter Mamouzelous, who is out, we think, long-term with an elbow injury. Do you like Riley Smith as a cheapie? I mean, if Mamouzelous wasn't injured, we wouldn't be considering him at all. He's sort of the best of a bad bunch for mine.
Yeah, I'm not interested in him at all. His utilisation at Parramatta has just been all over the place. I think he played 72 minutes last week, so almost the whole game, which is promising. But in other weeks, he's only played like a half or so. And then there's Brendan Hands is also named on the extended bench, so job security is a little bit concerning as well. So it's just multiple red flags for me, so I'm just not interested at all.
I've had Riley Smith for quite a few weeks now. I wouldn't suggest him as a buy at all. He's played about above 60 minutes for the last 4 or 5 weeks or so, but he's not like he's a bad player or anything, but his role there seems to be just distributor, make your tackles and then give the ball to Mitch Moses. Made 49 tackles on the weekend, so that's where all his points came from, and he played nearly 80 minutes, but I don't think there's much upside there at all, and he's sort of getting up there to that awkward price, about 300k.
Speaking of cheapies at Parramatta, Charlie Geimer is a guy who's popping out from the page a little bit for me, but again, I don't think he's quite there. We've had so many good cheapies this year that you don't need to take a punt on someone like Geimer, even though in past seasons he probably would have been a popular cheapie.
Yeah, for sure. He's ticking a few boxes, but like you said, there's been so many other good cheapies, and I've already moved a lot of my forward cheapies on to guns, so I don't even really need someone like Charlie Geimer, which is the main reason why I'm not looking at him. But yeah, in past seasons, he would have been a buy.
Yeah, I don't mind Geimer, and if Hopgood plays Origin over that sort of period, that'll bring him more into contention. But yeah, as you said, there's been so many cheapies, and I'll be looking to upgrade to guns at this stage.
Well, I went Savala in that position last week, so I'm probably done for cheapies in the pack for now. So that'll be
Scored
it for me.
well too, Savala.
Yes, did really well in 2 weeks in a row, 260s in a row. On to the Dolphins. So Felice Kafusi and Donahue are back into that team. Max Plath, I mean, I know this is kind of old news, but he's been ruled out of Origin 1 contention with a foot injury. He's gone for surgery. Supercoach-wise, there's not that many guys to look at except for Herbie Farnworth. I think he's still well under-owned. He's a really good pod at centre wing, and a lot of people are looking to buy someone at centre wing this week with Jackson Purdue having peaked.
Yeah, Herbie's someone I would love to have in my team, and I am probably going to bring in another centre wing gun this week, but I don't quite have the cash for Herbie, so I'll be looking elsewhere. But if I had the cash, I would be getting on him for sure.
Yeah, we sit here every week and talk about how good Herbie Farnworth is, but none of us have bought him. He gets 70 plus every week.
Well,
and he did it again.
There are so many guys in that position at around a similar price point. You've got Dylan Lucas, who I think is an absolute must, but I own him already. You've got Herbie, you've got Carraz, you've got Kyle Ero, who I think is probably the best pod of the lot.
Val Holmes.
Certainly, Val Holmes. You've got so many guys who you could buy this week. We'll move on to the Knights v the Titans. That's the Friday game, 6 p.m. The Knights are the hottest team in Supercoach right now, even though they had that horror stretch there where they could barely score a point. They've got a great bye schedule coming up. All their players are cheap after that horror run. So you've got, you look at the most purchased list this week and a whole bunch of them are from the Knights. I'll start with Fletcher Sharp, second most popular purchase this week.
I do really like Fletcher Sharp. He looked amazing, and even during that tough run for the Knights, he was still scoring relatively well because he's got some decent base to back it up. But for me, I'm looking at both of them this week, but I'm probably going to go Dylan Lucas just because he's a little bit cheaper and I can do that with a 1-for-1 trade. But I really like Fletcher Sharp.
He's cheaper and he's safer as well. He punched out huge base every week. Geez, Fletcher Sharp, though, has got so much upside. The way he hunts the ball on those offloads, that was where he got most of his tries on the weekend, just in those sort of scramble situations. He'll probably spell Ponga over Origin too, and maybe he'll kick goals, maybe. So, if I couldn't get them both in, because I just couldn't have that many Knights players in my team, but I like them both as buys.
Yeah, look, I love Fletcher Sharp. We'll get that out of the way first. But I also have Greg Marju, Ponga, and Dylan Lucas. So how many Knights can you have? They are probably the best team in terms of the buys. They don't have to buy until round 18. So you can carry a few. I like that Fletcher Sharp still averaged about 50 odd, even when the Knights were losing and getting hammered. So he's an option for me, but yeah, I think I'll be going with Farnworth or Carraz instead.
Yep, I like it.
On to Ponga, so very popular. He's only $550,000. He's lost 250k, give or take, to start the season. So I know he's got Origin coming up. If you're an overall player, you probably don't get on. But if you're a head-to-head player, Ponga at 550k is a bargain.
Yeah, well, the Knights attack finally looked like it was clicking last week, and Ponga looked good, and you can get him in cheap. I sold him about a month ago before he'd really started leaking too much cash, so I'm not really interested in him. But if you need a fullback, he's very cheap.
There was a bit of a rib cartilage thing floating around on the weekend, which worried me out of captaining him, but he still punched out about 100 points, and he came off with about 10 minutes to go because they were giving it to him. So yeah, as you said, I wouldn't purchase him if I didn't have him because you got Origin coming up, but for those head-to-head players, I'd get him in.
The other thing to point out in the teams is that Thomas Cant has not been named. He is 18th man, so he is a definite sell for Supercoach after making us a fair bit of cash. The Titans, they've got Jaden Campbell back. He's got a pretty big BE. It's 95 off the top of my head. So you don't need to rush in, but certainly he's a guy to watch down the track.
Yeah, definitely just someone to watch though. I would be just, holding off for now, seeing how he looks now that he's back in the Titans outfit. They've just been so inconsistent and just red flags for me, so I would be avoiding.
Yeah, not the best buy schedule either.
Yeah, I couldn't buy anyone from the Titans not named Bo Fermor at the moment. But Campbell's a gun, and he's gonna get big scores. I just don't like the Titans at all.
Well, I bought in Fermor last week for those 2 tries, so pretty happy with him. I'm probably a touch surprised that he's not a bit more popular this week, but of course the buy schedule isn't good. Plus, everyone's talking up Firma for an origin spot, not just a bench spot, but a starting spot for the Maroons.
Yeah, well, he's sort of been in contention before, but never really made that final step. But he's just playing some incredible footy at the moment. Like, he's probably their most informed back rower. So I think Billy Slater would be crazy not to pick him.
I wouldn't imagine he starts. Billy likes to play Cotter on an edge a lot, and Nanai's playing awesome. So I think he'll be on the bench there somewhere.
Yep, on to Tino chip and chase from over the weekend. Just a big guy doing a chip and chase.
With the mullet too.
With the mullet. Like, how good. You just never see that in rugby league. And then finally, we've spoken about Bo Firma already, so we'll move on to the next clash, which is the Rabbitohs v the Broncos. Heaps of changes at the Rabbitohs. Wayne Bennett has just completely lost his patience and torn it up. You got Latrell back from suspension. Humphries is back a bit early from a hamstring, but not at hooker, even though Mamouzelous is injured. He's in the halves. You've got Severely playing hooker. You got Aitken to the forward pack. Keon Koloamatangi to prop. Lots going on here. What are your thoughts?
I love Koloamatangi at front row. Yeah. He was so good when he played lock last year. He ran the ball so much. He was in everything, and he played 80 minutes. He's a bit smaller this year because he wanted to play that back row, but geez, he's about 500 and something K. Comes right into consideration for me.
The issue for me is potential origin selection.
He'd be on the radar for sure, and I would want to just wait and see how he plays at front row, how many minutes he gets. So there's a few question marks, but it definitely piqued my interest playing in the middle.
Obviously, Mamouzelous out. We're chasing exactly how long he is out for, but NRL physio was saying 3 to 6 weeks. We'll wait and see, but he is a sell. On to the Bronx. Not a great deal doing Supercoach-wise. I was so popular at the start of the year, but all their cheapies have peaked, so you should be getting rid of guys, if you haven't already, like Shibasaki, Jesse Arthurs, etc. Payne Haas played a little bit, not a lot of time, but played a little bit on the edge over the weekend. What are your thoughts, Supercoach-wise, on that switch?
Not really concerned for me. I mean, he's in such good form that if he's playing at prop, if he's playing on an edge a little bit, I'm not too concerned at all. I think he's a gun.
As one of the very little non-owners of Payne Haas, it scares the living daylights out of me. When I saw him on the edge there, if he was running at Bud Sullivan on the weekend, he could score 3 tries.
They've got Willison switching with
so
Payne
big.
Haas, so they've got 2 absolute units on that edge.
I wasn't sure if Willison had an injury or not. That's why they sort of moved him onto the edge. But although it might have been looking to do something against that Penrith outfit.
On to the Raiders. So the big news that I mentioned at the start is that Corey Horsburgh has been named. We will be chasing for late mail whether he's cleared that concussion, but it looks like he has. So good news on Corey Horsburgh. In any case, he is the 4th most sold player. I don't see this, to be honest. I think Horsburgh's a hold. You've had your opinion already on that. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I sold him quite a while ago. I just the minutes were sort of inconsistent at that point, and I felt so sick having 4 front rows that I wanted to play every week.
Yeah.
So I sold him to a back row. I think I can't remember who I sold him to, but might have been Angus Crichton or something like that. But yeah, I don't. Do they play the first bye? The Raiders?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So he might play Origin.
So if he so if he misses the Origin squad, then he's going to be awesome for that round 12.
I'd sell him to someone just with more upside. He's safe, but he doesn't have upside.
Yeah, that's true.
Onto the Doggies, they got Matt Burton back, and Preston is going to the judiciary tonight, where I don't know how this works, the maths on this works, but he could miss either 0 weeks or 4 weeks. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, it's just that it was only a grade 1 charge, but he has priors, so that pushed it out to 3 weeks initially, and then he's pleading not guilty, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But if he cops that 4-week suspension, he's a definite sell.
Yeah, 100%, and definitely out of Origin contention now for that first game at least. Onto the Dragons v the Warriors. You mentioned before, Loco Pacifica Tonga is going to debut in place of Emre Guler, who looks like he's out for a while. So could be a cheapie to monitor in a position which is generally really rough for cheapies. And then, of course, the most popular purchase this week, who you got on.
Yeah,
got in before he'd even made his season debut. Lyhkan King-Togia went out there, 2 try assists, looked sensational.
Yeah, just something else I can gloat about from the weekend. Just talked him up. how I was pulling New South Wales Cup stats from everywhere. Got 2 try assists on the weekend, ran 12 times, put Dylan Egan through a hole, which was nice for people who had Dylan Egan. So if you got them 2 there, you can probably confidently play him because this guy's got a bit of upside. I really like him as a buy. He's got a negative break even. The Dragons play the first buy, I think. Maybe not.
I think they have the buy.
Yeah, they got the buy then. Sorry, but he's a buy. Get him in.
Yeah, I like him. I'm going to wait, I think, until next week. I could go Adam Dewey to him and free up a fair bit of cash. But I just want to, I just want to take another look. I want to be safe.
No looks needed. To get him in.
He did, on the eye test, he looked absolutely
He was bringing the energy too.
And just on Dylan Egan as well. I've not played him on the weeks where he scored 90 odd and scored tries, and I play him on the weeks that he gets 30 odd and comes off like holding a finger, and he's fine afterwards. Anyway, Clint Gutherson, 3rd most sold player. The Gutho train's done. I think that's fair enough. Averaging 50 odd over the last 4 rounds after such a great start.
Yeah, I avoided, but I think most people got on purely as a bit of a cash grab, and he's made that cash, and the last month he's been pretty bad, so since you bought him in, he's made that cash and not really delivered, so I think he's a definite sell.
If I had him, I'd be tempted just to hold, just while everyone's getting off. You hope he goes big again and sort of makes a move and you save that trade.
Yeah, a little bit Kalen Ponga kind of tactics on that. On to the Warriors. DWZ is back, which is huge news for them. They also have RTS on extended bench, so 2 big dogs could be back for them. In terms of Supercoach, Luke Metcalf, so he's got 2 tons, but also a score in single figures and a score of 23. So he is... Sean Johnson used to be the roller coaster. He's replaced Sean Johnson at the club, and he's become the new roller coaster as well. Yeah,
he looks like he's turned a bit of a corner though, and if he can string a few more of these performances together, like everyone who still has him, he's a genuine hold option. I've still got him, and I'm sort of tossing up whether I downgrade him to Lyhkan, but he's just been incredible the last few weeks, and I hope he can keep that up.
There's no way you could downgrade him with that in the rolling average. You'd have to sort of wait for it to drop out. But I love Luke Metcalf. He's a former Shark.
Yeah.
He was on about 100 at half time. I was thinking, this is going to be awesome here. And he sort of petered out after that. But yeah, he's got so much upside.
Cowboys v the Panthers. So Ruben Cotter is obviously out suspended for the Cows. Jackson Purdue is the big Supercoach talking point though. He's peaked. He's made almost $400,000. So he's not just one of the best cheapies this year. He might even be the best cheapie this year. I haven't actually looked at the stats. But he's one of the best cheapies of all time.
Yeah, and he's made a ton of cash. And the past few weeks, I kind of thought he was putting up keeper numbers, but I think he is a sell now, and I can do him to Dylan Lucas as a direct trade. So that's probably what I'm looking to do this week.
Yeah, he's a reluctant sell for me, just because his break-even's in triple figures. They have the buy coming up, and you've got Dylan Lucas just sitting there at a nice price. So that is a reluctant sell. As you said, he was putting up borderline keeper numbers with that output. But he's a sell for me.
He just doesn't quite have the base of the guys who you'll be bringing in for the same price, like Lucas or Fletcher Sharp, or for just a little bit more, you get Carraz, Farnworth,
so many
those sort of guys, Kyle Hero. All these guys are just better in the base stat category, so you feel a lot better holding for the entire season, as opposed to Purdue, who relies a bit more on those attacking stats. On to Scott Drinkwater, 2 tons in a row. How good's he going?
Oh, he's great. I love Scotty Drink.
I didn't get on. I wasn't really interested a few weeks ago, and I've been massively regretting it. He's looked incredible.
The bird's sort of flown now. You can't get on.
Yeah.
He's up to about 813k, and he's got the buy coming up, but he's just tearing teams apart at the moment.
Big news at the Panthers is that Brian Tu'o is back into that team. Not a Supercoach target yet, but certainly a guy who you could target after the bye period is completely over. The guy who this affects most is, of course, Jenkins, who goes back to the bench. So he's a definite sell. Although, actually not sure what his BE is, because he cracked that big ton on the weekend.
Yeah, it's 1.
So if he takes the field, you might get a bit more out of him. In any case, he's definitely a sell at some stage.
Yeah, not a desperate sell, but definitely one to watch in a few weeks. If he keeps this sort of bench role, he will be a definite sell. But Luke Garner is still named at centre, so there's a chance they maybe do a late swap and he does end up starting. But as it stands, he's a definite sell at some point.
Yep.
Onto the Storm v the Tigers. The Storm are unchanged. That means no Harry Grant. There was some chat that he might be back from the hamstring injury this week. It's probably going to be next week. He'll get one game in and then go into Origin. So, Suafa'alongo, very popular. One of those mid-range centre wingers who I always try to avoid because I don't like buying a guy sort of mid 500Ks just for a quick cash hit. I think a lot of people are hoping that Fa'alongo, given how good he is on the eye test, may even keep that spot long term. And obviously Warbrick's to come back from concussion, but Fa'alongo might play him out of a spot.
Yeah, there's potential that he holds on to starting spot, but for me, I think the way that Storm use him historically is just all over the place. So I'm just going to avoid. But if people jump on and he does hold a spot, it'll pay off massively.
Oh, he's so exciting. He reminds me of Kalen Ponga at the Cowboys from a few years ago. Just can't lock in that fullback spot. There is a chance if you buy him that when Warbrick comes back, he'll sort of go back to that bench role that he was reverted to last year when Pappenhausen was back. So that could hurt, and you might have to use 2 trades to get him out.
Yeah, there's too much risk there for me, but as soon as he locks in a regular starting position, at some stage, he's going to be a Supercoach gun. It could be now, but there are too many red flags for me right now, so I'm not going to go there. When you've got guys like Dylan Lucas, Eero, Farnworth, etc., with great base stats. Onto the Tigers. Not a great deal doing here. Terrell May's obviously killing it. I'm thinking Adam Dewey down to King-Togia. This question coming from me. What do you reckon?
I back that a lot. The Tigers are playing good footy, but they're not scoring a ton of points, and it's not really always translating to Supercoach. So I like Dewey, but I like this trade.
Should have done it last week.
Yeah.
Should have done it last week.
The gloat is on full steam today. On to Sea Eagles v the Sharks, the last game of the round. So Sea Eagles, they've got Saab back. They've got Gerbo to prop, which is moderately interesting. Your Sea Eagles, what's your thought on Gerbo at prop?
Yeah, I really like Gerbo at prop. I think he's been pretty inconsistent for Supercoach for a few years now, but when he has played prop in the past, it has worked out really well for Supercoach. So definitely one to wait and see, but I'm not convinced that he actually stays at front row for too long. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there. But
of course, incumbent New South Wales captain as well, so Origin certainty you'd have to think.
I don't know. I think there's a good chance he doesn't play this year.
That's definitely a joke. On form, he shouldn't
Quite
be
Tom
there.
Sangster, Gerbo Origin.
Ruben Garrick. So, look, I think he is probably the best centre wing to have for the bye period. If you don't own Garrick, and there's a good chance you do, he's very popular, I have him as the number one guy in that slot, ahead of all the guys that we've been talking about today.
Yeah, agreed. He's an absolute gun. I used him last week as my auto emergency, as my captain to loop Tedesco, I think. Yeah. And yeah, he's the best there, so lock it in.
Yeah, well, I don't think I can bring myself to doing it after when I traded him out and he just got that monster score. That's why I don't think I'll do it.
Yeah, there's some trauma there for you.
it's traumatised. I'll bring him in and he'll get HIH straight away and score 2 points.
Onto the Sharkies. So obviously, Talakai is out with concussion, so Atkinson comes onto the bench. The big Supercoach guy there is Cameron McInnes. He is the most popular replacement for Peter Mamouzelous. I'll point out to start that the hooker position is just horrid for Supercoach this year. So yes, I probably agree that McInnes is the best replacement. Is he a good replacement? I don't think so.
Yeah, we were talking with Rob Sutherland a few hours ago that potentially we just run with no hookers this week because
it's great. Yeah,
I've got Connor
That's a
Watson.
Rob idea. Don't link me to this chat.
Yeah,
I was just listening to Rob.
I got Connor Watson and Sandon Smith, and none of the other hookers entice me at all. If I do bring in a hooker this week, it will be Cam McInnes. He's decent and he's very reliable and has decent bye coverage, but he hasn't really got a great ceiling. So I'm actually more leaning towards just not going with a hooker this week.
His minutes have been inflated quite a bit the last 2 weeks. You had Talakai go down with the KO, and the week before I think Toby Rudolph did his ankle, so that's why the minutes have been up. But yeah, as you said, there's just no options there. I've got Blake Brayley and I feel awful about it. I only traded him because he's a Sharks player and plays,
Yeah.
and plays 80 minutes every week.
Yeah.
So,
I've just realised that I've been saying Kyle Iro
Yeah, KL.
instead of KL,
Yeah.
which is a serious mistake. You got to get players' names right. So I like him. I think he could be a really good pod option.
You've been calling him out
knows.
for weeks as a potential.
I was going to go him before he got injured, and then obviously got injured. So I still think he's pretty high on that list, and a definite pod.
Yeah, well, like we've been saying, there's a lot of centre wings that I want to bring in, but he's just a bit further down this list, and I think everyone's sort of the same, which just means that he's going to remain a great pod, but I do think he's a really good buy.
Britton Nicker could be a buy there as well. He's really bottomed out, so I'd consider him.
Of course, on the buy this week, you got the Roosters, and that is relevant because a whole bunch of people are selling. Sandon Smith picked up that concussion on the weekend. He's got the buy, so you'd assume he comes back. Is he a sell? Like, they've got good buy coverage, so do you go out and sell a bloke who's been averaging 60 for the season?
I'm a bit torn, which is why I think I'm just going to keep, like I was saying before, both my hookers this week. But I think that there is an argument for selling, but I just think that they're both holds.
Yep.
I'd sell Watson. I'd sell Smith. I'd sell Watson because he's going to play Origin and his buy coverage is awful. Smith is just not doing it for me at all. He's punching out 30s every week.
The thing is, Smith is actually looking pretty good, but they are going a lot to the right because they've got Rabbitohs, etc.
Yeah.
Nawaqanitawazi. Smith, when he gets the ball and when he particularly in defence, he looks like an absolute beast, but he's just not getting enough ball at the moment.
Job security is 100% there now with Dom Young. Pretty much got told that he can talk to anyone that he wants to. So.
100%.
Yeah, and I'll just pour one out for those who didn't play Smith for his huge score and then played him last week.
Same as Egan as well.
Yeah.
Similar story. Big thanks to Jett Hatton, who's riding high after that 1700 odd. Big thanks to Wilson Smith, and we'll catch you for the preview podcast tomorrow. See you then.